Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monday night's Gravel Trap Legends BMW M1 Trust Me I'm a Pro series. We're going to start off with the target table this evening. The target is the qualifying times compiled after all the rounds. So while you take a quick look at that, you're with Tim Lawson, and with me this evening is Chris. Good evening, Chris. How are you, mate?
I'm awesome, buddy, and I like to think I'm the James Hunt of this stuff, where I just turn up 5 minutes before into the commentating booth. Thanks for the invite.
Beautiful, thanks, Chris. So Chris is in control of our cameras this evening, and Chris is going to be the expert. He has jumped out of the car for this round to help us with the stream. So having a quick look at the target table here, Chris, DJM is clearly in the lead with 902.472, and we're expecting that at the moment he's also got a 4/10 jump on DDF. Brett and DDF are within cooey each other. DDF can actually gain a little bit here because Brett's... Where's Brett at the moment? Let me just see. Oh, there's only 2/10 in it, so there could be a little gain.
Quite frankly, I reckon DJ, he's got this sewn up, mate. I can't see how someone's going to knock him off the target table now. But we've got the double round in next week. That might make a difference.
Yeah, so the challenge here, Travis, is going to be you can't win both. You can win the target or you can win the championship.
Also true.
So let's take a look at the championship standings as soon as I find the leaderboard here. So we've had 4 rounds now, but actually 5 races because round 1 was a dual round at Monaco. But after 4 rounds, Darren is leading, but there is only 2 points between Darren and Brett, and DDF is a further... 8 points behind, so 10 points between the top 3, but it gets juicier as we go down to 4th, 5th and 6th because there's only 3 points separating the Bloody Nine, Kiz and Cuckoo. Esky and Mark are also contenders, but the one that stands out to me the most in the leaderboard is Max Power.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Max is just... consistency just makes it happen. Turn up every time, get a consistent result. You can get the points in these leagues, so well done, Max.
Absolutely, great effort after 4 rounds, sitting 13th out of a total of 28 drivers. Absolutely outstanding performance. So let's take a look now at the track map. We are at the Hockenheim ring. My German's not as good as it used to be, so I'm going to try and pronounce these. Turn 1 coming through, we've got Notch Curve, and then the first of the chicanes is Bremschkane, but we're going to refer to that as Clark. So that's Clark chicane in memory of the driver who actually did not survive an accident in that location of the track. And then Osh Curve is turn 5, that's the big sweeping right-hander. And then the second of the chicanes, Bremschkane, we'll note that Bremschkane 3 because it was later in 1982 I renamed Centre chicane. Coming down the end of the second straight into turn 9, which is Ajip. Turn 10, which is Sash Curve. Turn 11, turn 12 is Opal, and then turn 13 is Suds Curve. Before we come back onto the start-finish line, and some interesting...
I also recognise a couple of words here. Suds, south, ost, east. You know, some of these corners are just named for the direction. But, yeah, we're going to have a look at... a couple of contenders for pole coming up.
Yes, we're going to switch to the stream very, very shortly. We'll just quickly say so this evening is round 5 at Hockenheim Ring. Their race date is the 29th of July 1979. So Hockenheim Ring is 6.79 kilometres long, and it was originally called Dreiskirch. I hope I got that right. It was called Triangle Course. Originally built in, or it's commissioned and built in 1932. The two fast chicanes were added to the track, which was lined with crash barriers in 1970. And the version that we're racing on is quite large and very long, and the fast sections going through the forest, essentially consisting of 4 straights and roughly 1.3 kilometres separated by a chicane sequence, following by a more tight and twisty stadium section named Motodrome. So let's go live to the action now. The guys are qualifying with just less than 8 minutes to go. And we're riding on here with DDF, currently qualifying in 2nd place. And he's just come around turn 5, Osh curve, coming down into Bremschkein number 2, or 3.
Top 3 are only within half a second of each other. It's very close.
And don't take away from the qualifying times, the racing times will be even closer, I'm predicting here.
Absolutely, everyone goes all out. Now this is going to be a bit of a challenge too, because fuel will be an interesting conundrum in the race.
Yeah, so the race this evening, Chris, is 65 minutes flat with a standing start and no +1. So as soon as the clock counts down, that will be the end of the race. There's accelerated fuel burn. They can burn 2 tanks of fuel in a good run with about 10 litres to spare. If they get a safety car, the guys might be able to survive with a 1-stop. Tyres, they can survive with a 1-stop. The one question is the brake pad life on these. Because it is accelerated, there could be some interesting moments in the last 10 minutes of this race.
Brake pads equals non-existent once you get through 65 minutes, mate.
And there is heavy braking zones coming into turn 1, coming into turn 2, coming into turn 6, coming into turn 9, coming into turn 10, and coming into turn 12. All heavy braking zones.
I.e. lots. I do want to check in with you, mate, on the 65 +1. Does that mean +1 means you can't bring a partner along for this race?
No, there's no partners because there is no +1. So they would normally do 65 minutes and then +1 lap, but this is a dead cut-off. As soon as the clock counts down to 0, that lap is our last lap. There is no pluses.
So you're not bringing a partner along, don't get the wife or another good driver to run with you. It's +1 is no +1 minute.
Correct. Now I've actually done some homework this week. Surprise, my first one out. I've actually compared the BMW M1 to the group touring cars from Australia from 1979. So just out of curiosity, for those people, the Holden guys, this is comparison to the A9X Tirana, which came in at 1,056 kilos. It had 240 brute horsepower at 4,800 RPM. Comparing that against the Dick Johnson's Blue XD Falcon from the time, that had a curb weight of 1,370 kilos. And it produced 300 brute horsepower at 5,400 RPM. Now, the stock street version of the BMW M1 was very similar to the A9X Tirana. But the version that these guys are running here is the race version. These were trimmed out for race. Their race trim was 1,020 kilos. And they produced 470 brute horsepower at 9,000 RPM. So this is twice.
That's a lot of power with pretty trimmed out weight and
so
very difficult to control.
Anyone who loves the old cars, think of the Holden series. It would be like having a Ford Capri or an XU1 Tirana with a V8 in it. If anyone who remembers, they did attempt to have the XU2, which was an two-door LC Tirana with a 308. Unfortunately, they deemed it to be too dangerous to drive, which led them towards the larger A9X Tirana. And I believe there was something very similar with the Ford Capri that they wanted to shoehorn the 351 Cleveland into it, but again, as a production car, they deemed it not possible and too dangerous to put on the road. But 4 minutes left of qualifying here. DJM currently tops our list with a 203.8, 4 tenths in front of DDF. Brett S rounds out our top 3. But it's a tight finish between Gunner and Cuckoo, all within 6 100ths of each other, or 6 100ths of each other. And then we're running through Brett.
Just checking out Brett, mate. Just saying, he's pushing it pretty hard because look at the damage he's got here. He's really trying to get it to pole.
The one that I'm going to be interested in here, Travis, is actually Brad Luck and Travis Moan in 6th and 7th. There is 4 1,000ths of a second between them. You don't get much closer than that.
Yeah, Brad's currently in the pits, and maybe he's just going, I'm happy with what I've got here, and looking to the race pace, but if Travis can get in front of him now, that could be a very interesting battle in the race.
Yes, now I think starting sequence on this, a standing start, I believe car number 1 is actually on the right hand side, so the odds will be on the inside of the track coming into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. That's where you can possibly get a little bit of a jump.
So here's the question. Would you want to be Brad Luck on the outside of Cuckoo, or would you want to be Travis Moan with the run up the inside of Brad coming from the back?
Yeah, maybe Travis is a bit of a sly old fox here. Brad's sort of going, I'm sitting in the pits. Travis may just back off a little.
And again, we're looking at some other close paces. We've got Kiz, the Bloody Nine, and Woodsy all within 4 tenths of each other. Well, actually, also Esky all within 4 tenths of each other. There's also not much between Mark and Stu. G2 runs out of 14. Max Power and Gambit is yet to make a time. So it looks like unless he can pull one off in the closing minutes of qualifying, he'll be starting from back of grid.
There's a strategy here, mate. With the number of drivers we have, let the front runners take each other out in the first couple of corners and make up a lot of places and get big points. Let's see how that goes.
I'm not expecting DJM, DDF or Brett or Gunner or Cuckoo to have much of an issue getting through turn 1.
Yeah, but if you're running a little bit at the back in points, you could make up a lot of places just at the start.
You could. The question here is, have the guys practiced a cold start with a full tank of fuel?
Also an interesting question which we're about to find out.
It is very loose coming into turn 1 on cold tyres with a full tank. And also the tyres and brakes will not be up to full temp coming in to the first of the chicanes either. So noting that they'll have to brake a little bit early, they'll be paying attention to someone in front. If the guy in front brakes a little bit later or a little bit deeper than anticipated, they could easily suck a few cars with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to be said about these older race cars with way too much power and not enough, sort of dynamics, if you like.
Yes, these cars.
Can't wait to see how this works out.
Yeah, the cars are the BMW M1. They're the original trim from 1979. There's no power steering. Oh, there's a little bit of power steering in these cars, but there is no other electronic features at all. There's no ABS. There's no assisted traction control. There's very limited setup beyond the suspension that you would normally get, and the gear ratios.
Kind of rubbish. Worth pointing out, Niki Lauda won this race in 1979. Hans Stuck second. And someone you would never have expected, Hans-Georg Berger, came third.
Oh, so the guys are just lining up now. This is doable. Has joined in the chat on our stream. G'day, mate. Hope you're enjoying it. He appreciates the power to weight ratios that these cars handle out. So we're watching Gravel Trap Legends BMW M1. Trust me, I'm a pro series. This is round 5 at Hockenheim Ring. Now, we're streaming live.
DJM, Daniel, Brett, Gunnar, Cuckoo, Brad, first 5 and 6. Travis, Kiz, the Bloody Nine, Woodsy, Esky, Mark, Stu, G-Dude, Max Power, and Pixel Boy all lined up.
Yeah, well, last week at Jerez, Brett had a commanding lead, and pretty well halfway through the race was almost unstoppable. The previous week, DDF would have had it in the bag if he hadn't have overshot the pit stop box at Interlagos. Buenos Aires and Monaco was a commanding performance from DJM, so Darren put him on top of the ladder for sure, which is everyone's now been hard to try and catch up, but they've managed to catch him in points after he had a disappointing round, I believe at Interlagos.
Just want to call out everyone who did a livery here too. These cars look awesome.
Absolutely.
And
I believe you had something to do with these, Chris?
yeah, the one on pole, for example.
So the guys have set ready for the start.
Yeah, love this. Love this racing.
470 brute horsepower off the start. And coming into turn 1. And it looks like DJM has got the lead over DDF, Breton and Cuckoo holding in. The guys will now try and get into a train, tuck in behind. There's not much downforce with these cars, but they do have a slight advantage in the slipstream, but where it's undetermined if it's enough to actually gain advantage. Or DDF a little bit loose coming into the chicane there. We can see DJM's held on to hold lead. Everyone appears to have filed through. And could you bring up the track map for us, please, Chris? It seems to have popped up. There we go, thank you. Everyone looks like to have made through the first chicane. It was now come through Oscurve, which in the modern day version of this track, Chris.
Yeah, though. Can you do it?
Well, I think the guys are all taking a little bit of cautious in this first lap. Cold tyres. Hey Finbar. Finbar's joined the chat. G'day mate. Hope you're enjoying the stream. For anyone who hasn't had a scrap around Automobilista 2, you're watching the BMW M1 Pros. And we're riding on board DJM or Darren, coming through turn 9, coming into the main part of the circuit now as we wind our way back down towards the start finish line. This is Sush Curve through turn 10. Oh, Finbar, great mate, great. This is Finbar's DDF's dad. He's popped into stream to say g'day. Yeah, I reckon DDF's got a good chance if he can maintain the pace here with DJM. Strategy is going to play out here, how you handle the car. Protect the tyres, protect the brakes for that run over the last 10 to 15 minutes. So let's enjoy a lap around with DJM. And while we've been watching this, unfortunately it looks like Brett has had some troubles coming through the second of the chicanes. He has dropped back to 13th place. Now Brett is currently one of our contenders. So DJM, DDF and Brett are all within 4 points of each other on the points table. And that could be a big kicker for his championship.
Yeah, and just watching DJM here, like the mastery of using the curves where they work, avoiding the curves where they unsettle the car. Absolute master around here. He's going to be hard to beat.
Should we take it trackside and let's take a look at how he handles this chicane as we come up through here. And did you get a chance to take these cars out around Hockenheim earlier this week, Chris?
Absolutely, mate. And oh my god, way too crazy and difficult to even comprehend how these guys can do this sort of stuff.
It's absolutely amazing how, and we had last week when the guys were talking about the slip angle and carrying the car into a drift through the corners. Well, we've all enjoyed doing it on the occasion, on a corner here and a corner there. The ability of some of these guys to carry that on for 65 minutes through an entire race is an account of the quality of the or the ability of these guys to actually drive these cars.
And not just ability, but to do it lap after lap. You know, we're up for 65 minutes of this stuff. Yeah, how can you just keep yourself going and concentrate that long?
Well, the cars we're looking at the moment, Travis, they have been outstanding all series. Gunner, Brad and Cuckoo, Travis, T9 and Esky have all been competing against each other competitively, lap after lap after lap, round after round after round. It's been incredible racing, not only for the front two drivers, but right across the field there's been battles going every week. As we're just jumping aboard Cuckoo here in the Blues Brothers machine.
Yeah, look at these guys. They're not separated by much. They're just taking their time to just get into the groove and work out, how do I get past the guy in front? You know, how do I unsettle the guy in front so I get past him? You know, everyone's doing that. There's these subtle little moves going on very early now.
Yes, the tyres and brakes will all be up to temp now, and I reckon Brett is on the move. He's up to 11th, and he's only a second behind Stu. As we see him lined up here. And I reckon it won't be long before he catches Stu across the back of the track as we come around through Opsh Curve. Turn 5.
Yeah, the tricky thing here, you've got a few places to pass, but you get some bloody great slipstreams. And look how he just catches up the back of Stu here.
That's all about setup. I did have some laps yesterday afternoon around here playing with different gear ratios and different suspension setups. There is 2 or 3 tenths to be made through Opsh Curve when you're playing with an open setup, but then you've got to play the balance between whether you want the power through the long straights and open curves or you want the pace through the tight winding section here back into the stadium.
Absolutely, and Stu just lets him go. That's no battle, really. Stu knows he's not fighting Brett for points here. Equally, Stu will play the long game and make up points if someone gets a bit too crazy with the red mist.
It's a smart move, and there's a battle going up in front of us. I can see, I think that's T9 and Kiz. If we just jump on the back there.
Overtake. Lovely.
If we can jump out of the car to have a look from the trackside. And the bloody 9 must have had a small error there for Kiz to cruise past, because they have been running nose to tail, and they've dropped a little bit off the back of Travis Moan. But we can see by the timetable Brad Luck and Cuckoo are still running nose to tail, within half a second of each other. But DJM at the moment has a commanding lead. 2-second gain over DDF. And Gunnar and Brad are going to be playing out for 3rd place at this stage. As we can see from the track map, there's little battles going on around the track. I know we're watching Gunnar there having a bit of a spin. Getting wide, coming out through turn 9.
Mate, that's cost him so many places. After you just called that battle, Gunnar maybe just dropped it into the grass.
And it's a fine line between driving these on the edge and driving them in the grass. It doesn't take much. And
we know it.
You can use a little bit of the ripple strip, especially here through turn 1. You can climb onto it, but you can't really climb over it. If you climb over it, it pulls the back of the car out, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself sideways down the track.
So we'll just focus on Gunnar for a second. I reckon he can get past Eski and Brett here, or at least Eski, not Brett, because Brett is so quick. But he may be able to make up his time on Eski soon enough. Be interesting to see.
They're coming down there through Opsh Curve. He's probably not going to have much of an opportunity here. He's going to have to back out of it. I don't really like going too wide through there. He goes deep. Oh, and I think he's pulled it off.
Yeah,
goes for the switchback.
Brilliant move.
I think he may have the switchback here though. He's on the inside now, coming down to the next chicane.
Come on! Like he's on the inside, he can do it.
He's had to suck in behind. Oh, no, Brett's had to take a run through the inside, and Esky's drifted out wide, outbraked himself.
Talk about psyching out the opposition here. That was brilliant.
As we can see how competitive these cars are. They're an absolute bucket load of fun to drive.
I reckon we've just seen some great action there with, it's how to drive and be composed and psych out the other drivers in front of you. We just saw that. Where do I go? How do I cope with this fast guy behind me? Well, just saw it.
But most of the drivers have been racing together for some time. They do know each other's styles. Oh, we see that Esky is a little bit loose at the back there, coming through turn one. And again, that was that getting too wide onto the ripple strip. And Stu snuck up the inside. But Esky's got the pace, so we'd expect that he would catch up to Stu soon.
Stu's a bit of a quiet player here. He just, I'll run mid-pack, stay out of trouble, and just rack up the points. He does it consistently, every time.
Yeah, commentators cursed twice this series, so I'm not mentioning his name. We had a brilliant moment last week where he made a really impressive overtake, took the hard line down the inside in the braking zone, cleaned it out, got wide, big tank slapper into the fence, so I'm not going to curse Stu anymore.
It's about time I mention commentators curse. What I'm offering is, anyone who drops into our chat, if you're struggling to get on the podium, drop into our chat, tell me who's in front of you, I'll praise them to the skies, and then they'll crash out, and you'll get a podium.
Oh, that's just mean.
I know, but I take all gratuities.
Stu's going to have to be careful here because Esky's right up on the back of him now. And it's all about line and length. If he can just keep the car into the apex, keep it on line, don't get wide. The back of these cars are very, very wide when you're trying to make an overpass. But Esky's going to put the pressure on here. He's going to hope that Stu makes a mistake. It doesn't look like he got the run out of turn one there. And to everyone watching our stream this evening, g'day, hope you're enjoying. If you like what you are watching, then click on like, click on follow, and we'll be uploading this to YouTube, TVJP Sim Racing. You'll find us on YouTube. You can also get onto that and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook and follow all the action. Support us to help you guys bring you more live action. And if you think you want to get involved, then check out Gravel Trap Legends on Discord. Actually, Chris, very shortly we'll have a quick sneak peek at what's coming up next. Because this is the opening series for 2023 as we see Esky make the dive down the outside. Stu's going to do the right thing now and let him go. Don't want to get involved in an accident. We're still 48 minutes to go.
Just checking in. DJM has got a bit of a big lead here. Let's see what he can do.
Now, we know Darren's fast, but also we noticed at Buenos Aires when we had the long leg out and around the lake, DJM actually took a two-stopper because he ran his tyres out. And this is a short pit lane here. It's a very short quick stop pit stop. It's only around about 15-20 seconds out of a lap. Now we're not expecting a safety car, but is he driving or over driving the car? Will he require that second pit stop? Can that be the jump for DDF? We know that DDF has been ultra consistent all series with his tyre wear. He's been ultra competitive with his fuel burn. If Darren's over driving and requires to do the two stop, is that going to allow DDF on a one stop to catch up?
Mate, you're singing my song here. You know, I'm crunching numbers as well. And I reckon you could one stop this if you're a little bit conservative. Just a little bit. You can do one stop.
There was an argument over around about 10 litres of fuel when we did the original calculations. And we're doing 65 minutes, so we're talking close to 30 odd 32, 33 laps. And there's 119 litres in the tank. So if you burn 200 mils extra per lap, you will not make it.
Yeah, totes. It's that tight. The strategy is all down to the end of this. Not the beginning, not where you are. It's, do you have to pit twice or once?
And even DJM was commenting on the brake life, because everyone's done 35-40 minute sessions testing how far a tank of fuel will go, but no one has done a full 65-70 minute race to understand what the brakes will feel like in the last 10 minutes. So if DJM is pushing to the max here, that could cost him in the closing minutes.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that last little bit. It could totally revamp this leaderboard.
But again, we're looking at third and fourth, so Cuckoo and Brad Luck. There's still less than 2 seconds between them. And Brett has managed to catch up to the back of Travis Moan, so he's moved up into 6th position. And Gunner, after his off track, has moved up into 7th. Max Power was involved in one of those early incidents, but he remains on track, running a 16th, just behind Pixel Boy. Woodsy and Mark are having a great battle for 13th and 14th. G-Dude finds himself in a bit of open space in 12th. And then we've got Esky and Stu having a competition to see who's going to round out the top 10. And don't underestimate the battle that Kiz and the Bloody Nine are having at the moment in 9th and 8th. There's less than 2 tenths between them.
Yeah, we might have a quick look at that too.
So,
these guys are nose to tail, really.
And have been since lap 1.
And it's just like, how can I spook you to do the wrong thing? You maybe equal ability, who knows, but you got to spook the guy in front to do something wrong, to get past him now.
Well, to give you an idea on form, we had Esky, the Bloody Nine, and Brad Luck were running nose to tail pretty well for the entire 2 races at Monaco. Round 2.
Just saying, mate. I'm seeing kids make a move here.
Pushing around the outside. It's probably not the preferred line. Ooh.
No, he didn't make it.
Yeah, that's not a preferred place, but they are running side by side now, coming through into Opsh Curve.
he might still have the line now. He's
He's going to be stuck
a
in the
little
dirty
bit
part of the
inside.
track.
Yeah,
He's,
he's got in front.
he's
Brilliant.
And Bloody Nine's done the right thing. He's tucked back in behind. You don't want to be out wide coming into turn 5, Oshkirv. The dirty part of the track is not a comfortable place for these cars. Easily spin yourself out into the grass.
By the way, Kiz is looking ahead now. He's going, I got Gunner in my sights now. He's not worrying about who's behind him. He's looking ahead. Just look how fast he's going. He's already getting a little bit of a gap.
He's got that carrot up the road and he's running for it.
It is worth pointing out Kiz is third place in the shakedown on Wednesday nights. Now, behind Brett and Mark, Kiz is third there, so he's got a little bit of experience here, and just by running in shakedown as well and getting past people, he's making that experience work.
Oh, the guys are now 25 minutes in and we're starting to see the round of pit stops. So Chris was talking about at shakedown. So Gravel Trap Legends runs their Pro Series or their Pro Am Series on Monday nights. And they run a friendly open house shakedown league for anyone to come along, show up and have the fun. It runs the same cars, the same tracks. The shakedown league preludes the Pro Series. So last Wednesday the shakedown was running here at Hockenheim for the guys to have some practice and a bit of fun. Oh, we just watched the Bloody Nine get it wide coming through the chicane.
There's an unintended pit stop.
And that will be some serious damage and some serious laid time in the pits, as well as it's a long way back. 6.7 kilometres from start to finish, so he's got a good 5 kilometres to get his way back to the pits before he can start repairs.
I'm just noticing Eski has a bit of damage up the front as well. And how's he going to cope here? Is he pitting soon, or is he just going to push to his pit stop?
So we've seen Cuckoo and Mark take their pit stop so far. Gunner's taken his pit stop. I'm not too sure on Woodsy. So DJM now comes in for his pit stop.
Let's watch this for a second. They're getting some fuel in.
And it's almost leaning towards a 2-stop for these guys. Yeah. A full tank of fuel and 40 minutes worth of racing. They could be up for a splash and dap. Again, we look at DDF. This is where the strategies come in. DDF started with a full tank of fuel and he's been fuel conserving and taking care of his car. This could be the overcut that gives him the advantage over DJM.
Yeah, DDF is currently, 17 seconds ahead of Brett. I've lost the plot a bit on Brett's pit stops.
And if we just give an idea, DJM is now 33 seconds behind, and he was around about 5 seconds up the road, so close to 38 seconds for a pit stop for tyres and fuel.
I reckon DDF is setting himself up very well for a win here. He might have the right strategy. Let's see.
So 65-minute race, we are counting down towards midway, so 33 minutes will be mid-race. We're currently 38 minutes to go. So another 5 minutes before we get to mid-race. Another, 2.5 laps, 3 laps.
I think it's worth pointing out, when we're running behind the car, you can just see the vibration in the back wing. This is not a smooth circuit. There's bumps all over the place. And you can see the back wing vibrating all the time. It ain't easy.
Well, a little moment there, but he saved it.
Yeah, it just goes to show, right? The downforce or whatever, it's not enough. It's skill that gets you around here.
Yes, even though they do have a big wing on the back of them, there wasn't much aerodynamic intervention in the race cars in the mid to late 70s. The wing was basically there for looks. It did a little bit to break up the air pressure over the back of the car, but it really doesn't produce much downforce at all. And again, as we talked earlier, Chris, we spoke about comparing these to cars that we might be familiar with here in Australia in race trim. So if we remember from 1979, Peter Brock's A9X Tirana had a curb weight of 1,056 kilos, and it produced 240 brute horsepower or brake horsepower at 4,800 RPM. Dick Johnson's blue XD Falcon had a curb weight of 1,370 kilos, had a brute horsepower of 300, and that was at 5,400 RPM. But the BMW M1 in race trim, they managed to cut the curb weight down to 1,020 kilos, and it produced 470 brute horsepower at 9,000 RPM. So twice that of the A9X Tirana or the 1979 XD Falcon. We jumped on the board of Kiz now. I was watching him come up towards Brad Luck. And I think Max Power in the Scoobmobile running down the outside there.
Yeah, Max is doing a great job of just keep out of the way and let these guys battle it out.
And we've also got to play, Max is also running in the shakedown, and I believe he's running 6th in the shakedown points table.
Max is smashing it out there, and same for this session, right?
Ooh, I think
just be consistent, you know, and you can get big points.
absolutely. It's all about keeping the car on the black stuff, which is not as easy as it sounds.
By the way, there's a lovely Monaco tea towel available for the winner of Shakedown League, which I'm sponsoring.
I've just seen a couple of kite tacks. Let's jump on the back of Cuckoo, as we see Cuckoo's sitting on the back of G-Dude, and Woodsy is sitting on the back of Mark 860.
Man, this is close. Look how you can get the slipstream here. Can he duck down the inside? He can.
Just
Will he do
enough
it?
to get into the braking zone.
Yeah, that very brave. And look at that. Look, it's all about slipstreaming here. And by the way, talent for Cuckoo.
And the power coming out of turn 1. There's 2 or 3 tenths in a great exit coming out of turn 1. And that equates to around about 8 or 9 kilometres an hour coming into that braking zone. So I think the best we pulled yesterday in practice was around about 282 kilometres an hour, 282. And these cars had a top speed of 309 kilometres an hour.
Man, I just love the sound of these cars. I could just sit at the back of one of these and hear it all the time. Just brilliant.
Oh, Max has had another little off there by the looks of that. And Brett's now come into the pits. And DDF is still... We're now mid-race. DDF is still running around, Travis May now sits in second before he takes his mandatory pit stop. And we've seen Brad, Brett and Kiz.
And just swap to Travis because he's currently sitting in second place. Now, he seems to be a bit off strategy to some others, but can he make something of this? Let's see how that goes.
And Travis is working on consistency and control here. Again, we spoke to the guys that pitted around 8 to 10 minutes earlier. They have to do the full 42 minutes of the race. We're unsure if they can do that on a full tank of fuel. They may need a splash and dash. They may have to go for a fresh set of tyres. DDF and Travis are setting themselves up. But the interesting point is we did talk about the time it takes to transition the pits, get a full tank of fuel and change a set of tyres. We're thinking that it was around the 38-second mark. So we're looking at DDF is currently sitting around 8 seconds behind DJM after his pit stop.
And I'm even, when I'm looking at Travis, he's taking a lot of curb, which takes tyre wear, right? And do your tyres go off right near the end? Can you hold on?
Well, Travis, well, we're expecting, so DDF in the pits now, we're expecting Travis will probably be doing the same as he heads towards pit lane. Yep.
Yeah.
Now we can say the original spec is pit lane speed limit is 140 kilometres an hour. If you're wondering why it looks like they're going so fast. So let's jump on the back. Let's jump on DDM as we just saw DJM go past. And we're waiting for now.
He's looking so cool and composed, mate. He's not fazed by these guys.
He has
He's
absolutely
doing his own thing.
commandingly. Even Eski's now jumped through into second. DDF is now still in the pits. He has lost a massive amount of time. As we wait for our timing clocks, we'll probably catch up towards the end of the lap. Stu now doing his pit stop. So we're now pretty well looking at the order of how this will roll out in the last 30 minutes.
This may be the finishing positions
I'm still unsure whether I'm unsure if DJM can actually do it without having a second pit stop. And I'm wondering whether DDF has been taking it easy, looking after his car and his brakes so that he can have the big push. If that's the
DJM
case...
has got 21 seconds, mate. If he can push now, he could buy himself a pit stop.
He needs 38 seconds.
But he can push. Now, let's see what he can do here. He's a classic. He can make this work.
DJM, Dino's jumped on to say great stream, guys. Apologise he couldn't be on track tonight because he couldn't make the start. Sorry to hear that, mate.
Just dropped into the Travis versus Brett here. They're pretty close now. Can Travis do something about getting past Brett here? They both stopped, so struggling to get the tyres warmed up.
Alright, we've had an update here. DDF had a pit stop drama where he could not select a gear. So thanks for that, Dirty Wheels. Thanks for the update. That is the second time that DDF has experienced troubles in his pit stop.
He's now a long way back. It's going to be hard to... Yeah, he might be able to retain second, but can he catch up first?
I believe he's done the same thing as Interlagos. Interlagos, he overshot his pit box and then could not find reverse. Again, a key factor.
What you said there, overshot?
Overshot. Very
nice.
The key talking point with the BMW M1 was that these are original spec, and I got to say, Automobilista 2 has done an outstanding job in replicating the performance of these vehicles. Their clutch and drive line is a little bit sensitive. In racing trim, they were good. The clutch itself was good for 3 to 4 starts before you're burning it out. You could drive it pretty hard once the car was moving, but the car does not like idling. It does not like running under 2000 RPM. And again, because of the setup of the throttle carby, there was an independent pot for each cylinder. It was a straight 6 with 48 valve. Interesting. I watched video footage of someone tuning the BMW straight 6 out of one of these cars, and they did it with the length of pipe. They actually put the pipe down over the pot, and they listen for the tone, and then they get all the pots to sound the same. It takes one of the old mechanics will be able to do that, and will remember having done that on some of the triple Webers and that back in the day. These days they plug it into a PC unit and it tells them everything they need to do. So we jump aboard Woodsy now, coming around through Offs Curve, turn 5.
Woodsy's a bit of a quiet achiever here. Nothing like just running mid-pack, let other people do stupid stuff, get some points. Yeah, he's just driving a great drive. Yeah, and just call out.
As we see the track starts to spread out a little bit, we still have battles going on. There's not much between Brett and Travis Moan. There's only 4 seconds there, but we can still see Brad Luck and Gunner and Kiz all running within 5 seconds of each other. And unfortunately,
also want to call out to Max. He's doing so well in the Shakedown League. Maybe running it back here. But this is experience, right? You have to get out of the way of the fast guys and just get experience on these tracks. That's what he's doing. And then he's showing up in Shakedown every week and he's running 6th in Shakedown. Yeah, there's something to be said about that. Consistency matters.
And Max has just recently, well actually this week, updated his rig. So he's got a brand new second-hand wheel and pedals, which he's coming to terms and grips with. For me, I'm running Thrustmaster gear, and I stepped up from the G29 to a Thrustmaster TS. And it took me a good 3 or 4 weeks to get familiar with a new wheel and new set of pedals. And I'm sure we'll see Max get some more pace in the weeks coming. And I know we're all excited for the upcoming league. I tell you what, let's do a little cheeky. We've got 23 minutes to go. We'll quickly throw in what's coming next.
Nice one, mate. Yeah.
If it performs for me, here we go. This is what's coming up It's the Americana GT4 Road Series for Gravel Trap Legends. Monday nights will be the Pro Professional Series or Pro-Am, and Wednesday nights will be the Shakedown. This will be the Americana Series, and there will be a wild card. So choose to play the wild card on any particular round. You can only play it once, and that will be allow you to race the P2 Sigma to get some on-track pace. And that is what's coming up next. Starting in 3 weeks time, I think it is, the 20th of March.
Matt, I'm super excited because not only GT4, the gentleman's car, then I can choose to drive an outrageous P2 car in whatever race. You know, it just blows my mind. You know, where I'm good at, I can drive the fast car. I reckon that's something everyone wants to be part of.
For myself, I struggle with the high downforce cars. My brain cannot communicate with my driving style to understand that I can just turn the car in. It keeps to wanting to brake. And I had a friend of mine do the V8 series at Malala in Adelaide, and they said it's absolutely outstanding, but the first thing is when you're driving down the straight and you've got 300 metres before the corner, excuse me, and you're coming in 300 metres on the guy, you got the travel guy alongside you, and he's going, don't brake yet, don't brake yet. You're at 220 kilometres an hour and your brain is screaming, get on the brakes. And he goes, you get within 100 kilometres an hour, you stand on that brake and the thing just pulls up. He goes, your body doesn't think it can, your brain doesn't commute to the amount of performance in the car. He said it took, he had 6 hot laps around there. He goes, by the time I was doing the 6th lap, I was into it. But he goes, absolutely outstanding. If you get a chance, do it.
Mate, that's what this league is all about, isn't it? Oh, just watching an overtake me.
Yeah, that's the Bloody Nine, I think, taking over Pixel Boy.
Yeah.
And again, this is what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be fast. There are little battles and little challenges going on all around the track.
While we're doing this, I do want to make a call out to the Formula One of 1979, and we are supporting BMW M1 Pro cars of that era. Jean-Pierre Jaboulet won the race at Hockenheim in 1979. He died this year, 2nd of February 2023. Just to call out, you know, great Renault driver. That car was a friggin' awesome car. Just recognising his talent.
Yeah, so we're true pioneers, weren't they? They didn't have the protection, they didn't have the technology that we see in modern day cars now. And as we're talking about the BMW M1 Pro, the decision to build a race car by BMW because everyone was sick of hearing how popular the Porsche was just winning everything through the 70s. So BMW hatched a plan. They were going to build their own race car. They didn't have the technology for something of this performance, so they leased the services of Lamborghini. And Lamborghini did all the bodywork, all the chassis, and the suspension components, and all the engineering for this vehicle. Unfortunately, the plan was not enough to save Lamborghini at the time. They went into receivership and were sold. They actually had to break into the Lamborghini warehouse and steal the molds, the body molds for this car, because they couldn't afford to buy them back. and they believe that they were there right. Now, this is what I was talking about. DJM is in the pits. He is doing a two-stopper. Now, we're just looking where DDF is definitely doing a one-stop, and he has jumped. Even though DDF had the issues with his pit stop and lost the time choosing a gear, he now sits in front of DJM. If DDF had not had issues, he would be a clear 20 seconds up the track.
By the way, Cuckoo and Gunner in the pits here.
And
very close together. Let's see what happens in their timings as well.
And this is what we were talking about earlier, Chris. Fresh tyres, 2 stops, or 1. Will the fresh tyres pay off for DJM? Will he have enough pace? There's 16 minutes to go, so still another 8 laps or so. 2 seconds behind. If DDF does that, that's certainly not going to help his cause.
That's a bit of a smaller gap now.
That certainly closes the margin up.
And by the way, Brett, where's Brett now? He's 10 seconds off, but he could... What's he doing? What's his strategy?
Well, we see DDF maintain his line here. He's going to make his car as wide as possible. He's going to hit the apexes. He's going to shut the door.
Last driving here.
And he just needs to keep his head down now. He just needs to keep the lines, shut the doors, hit the apex, and make the back of that car as wide as possible.
And I'm watching Brett making up time here.
Yes,
he's lost a little bit, but you know, if these guys continue to fight, Brett's gonna catch up to them, and there may be enough time for Brett to do it. If these guys take each other, Brett could be first. Yep,
and we see DDF closing the inside line there, forcing DJM. If he wanted to have a sniff, he would have to do it from the outside. Well, that's a bit of foam work there on the inside there. And again,
DJM is being a bit conservative here because, you know, DDF is being, you know, he's cutting him off, but just hold your line here. You know, don't be too crazy. You've got the time. Pressure him to make a mistake.
Yeah, well, actually, the door swings both ways now, so the pressure's on DJM to maintain, and the pressure's on DJM to hold his line. Running up the grass there is not going to help.
He's not. You know, I'm seeing he's feeling the pressure. This is going to be very interesting.
I've still got my money on DDF. He's shown previously.
Yeah, me too. These cars are very wide, but guess what? We've got traffic up ahead. That'll also matter. And, you know, you've got to pressure the guy in front.
But we've seen there's not a lot of downforce or slip advantage with these. So the straights, unless you get an ultra clean run out of the corner one with Notch curve.
Yeah, there's equally a problem here. Don't follow the bad line. You know, if the guy in front, you know, runs off track or something, it's very easy to just follow him. You've got to be careful about this to have the optimal line and get the pace.
And we've seen there's not much advantage in the slipstream to take the gap down. It's all about getting the advantage coming out of the corner and getting the traction down.
Back markers could make a difference here.
It can. Well, I think they'll be successfully give them some space coming around.
Everyone's experienced. Don't get me wrong, but it's when you take advantage of the back marker. Here we go. We got a long straight here. Like, that's very easy and good.
I think that was Woodsy in the other Bluth car. Coming down through Bremsch curve 2.
Got to be on it though. You've got to be so close and be on it all the time. Make no mistake if you're at the back of someone this experienced.
But the other advantage here, Chris, is that there is no downforce disadvantage. So you can get up underneath the wing of the car in front of you and you don't lose any traction. You don't seem to get any aero wash or any effects that you would see in modern day cars.
They take slightly different lines, but it keeps them about equal. It's very interesting.
And again, earlier we were talking about the slip angle, and it's that slip angle there. Oh, it's a bit nervous getting that wide. That could be the change.
A little bit
and
of drag.
Again, he's going to force him. He's going to force him to the outside. There's a little bit of negative there. Is he going to yield?
The inside line here now.
DDF's still got the inside line.
Beautiful.
Goes for the switchback. He's not going to get it.
Beautiful driving.
Oh, he's going to... Oh, I'm not confident here. Has he got enough drive to get far enough ahead to gain the advantage into Osh curve?
I think so. This is a long straight. Or slightly curved. Yeah, but he's on the inside. Here we go.
DJM is still DJM and DDF still running side by side now, too wide down the back straight into Bremsch 2. And DJM successfully makes the move. And we see a car had an accident there through the curve. Still running side by side. DJM's got the advantage coming into Ajib.
A little bit of instability there.
Yeah, I think just a little touch to the rear quarter panel was enough to unstable the front of the car. And it looks like Travis Moan has managed to jump ahead of Brad Luck. He's now 7 seconds up. Kiz has gained a little bit of space on Cuckoo by the looks of that. He's about 4 seconds up the road. And a comfortable gap between Esky now. He's another 4 or 5 seconds back behind Cuckoo. But we can see Mark and Stu are having a great battle back in 10th and 11th. As we wait for them to come around the back of the forest. Coming around through Opsh curve. Stu, little bit of damage from earlier on. I don't think it's affecting the handling of the car too much.
Yeah, Stu's looking okay here. He's looking a bit racy, and he could get in the top 10 here. Just has to be patient.
So for everyone watching at home, thank you very much. We're watching Gravel Trap Legends BMW M1 Pro Series. This is round 5 from the Hockenheim ring. It's a 65-minute race, standing start, and we have 8 minutes to go. Approximately 4 laps left. 27 laps down, looking like around about 31, 32 laps for this race this evening.
It's also worth mentioning we're running double fuel on this, and people are gonna be trying to work out, can I do one stop, can I do two? Yeah, this will come down to strategy maybe in the last 10 or 15 minutes. Let's see how these guys can hold out.
As we see, DJM with fresh tyre is now jumped 2 seconds ahead of DDF. And they were talking earlier about the quality of the braking come the last 10 minutes of this race. They weren't too sure how the brake pads were going to hold out. Because as we watch here, it is very hard braking zone coming into Clark, or Bremskurve 1, or in German, Ein.
Yeah, totally. The brakes just fade towards the end, and you struggle these last 5-10 minutes of a long race like this to just stop when you need to.
And it's 4th gear coming through Oshkurve, allowing it to drift out wide, cross back over. Now coming down the back straight to Bremskurve 3 or Bremskurve 2. Looking to get a clean run out of there. I found that the most annoying, to maintain a good traction coming out of that chicane. Coming down into turn 9. This is Ajip. I always found it just feels like this tightens up on me, and I was always nervous about getting too wide through there. Turn 10 is Shushkan, or Shushkurve. And you can really get a good slip angle through here. Heart of the power up to 3rd. Coming through 11, 12 is Opel. And then Sword Curve, turn 13. So let's stay now with DJM as we take a lap around Hockenheim ring. There we go, that is a lap of Hockenheim ring. riding aboard the Bluth BMW M1 Pro with DJM, and with 3 minutes to go we will be looking at 2 more laps.
I'll just throw out some more history stats here. Similar 1979 Hockenheim Formula One, Alan Jones, great Australian, won this race, and followed by Clay Regazzoni of Switzerland and Jolly Jacques Lafitte from France in a Formula One race. AJ went on to win the Formula One world title in 1980, so this is one of the races where he proved his talent in Formula One, which was incredibly competitive in the time as well.
And Chris, I've just seen that Stu's jumped ahead of Mark again. So we've got a couple of battles going on around the track.
Oh, there's Mark right on the tail of Stu. Let's see how this goes.
Stu's going to give him the space.
Lets him up the inside, gives him the room. But could Stu do the switchback here?
Last lap, Stu snuck up the inside. I wasn't too sure where it was, whether it was in this section here or not. And it looks like, yes, going too wide.
Let Mark out drive himself, and Stu just does a brilliant switchback.
I think Stu parked himself down the inside there. I thought forced Mark wide.
That's great driving, right? You know, give them racing room, and then just take advantage if they don't take it properly, you know? No disrespect to Mark, of course.
After 65 minutes of racing, less than half a second between Stu and Mark, battling it out for 10th position.
Exactly right. There's battles all down this grid, and that's what this is about, isn't it? You know, drive to your ability, and you still have a great time.
But the talking point this evening is DDF. DDF has had his second letdown in the pits, being stuck without being able to select a gear. That would have cost him a good 20 seconds.
Yeah, and he's only 4 seconds off the lead, but it ain't enough. Yeah, he doesn't have enough time to make that up now.
And while we're watching, the clock is counting down, so DJM's going to cross the finish line. This will be the last lap. And I was watching a commentary for the Bathurst 12 hour on Assetto Corsa Competitor Zone, and they had a few real life GT3 drivers on there talking about the difference between real life driving and sim racing, and they said that the similarities are very similar, although the circumstances do change. In this stage, we've got a pit stop error that can happen in real life racing. Obviously, battling like we see here, you can make contact with a car, drift wide. That can happen in real life. A few things that happen in real life that don't happen here on the sim rig is the vehicles are weighed at the end of the race. We were talking about that earlier today. There is a minimum weight for these vehicles at the end of a race. One driver was saying 2 laps to go, they caught a ripple strip. And we have to say congratulations to DJM taking out round 5 Hockenheim ring for BMW M1 Pro Series. Trust me, I'm a pro. Guys, for you have been watching our stream, thank you very much. We hope you have enjoyed yourself this evening. Excuse me, a bit of a cough. Sorry about that, both. If you like what you see, Automobilista 2, jump on Discord, look up Gravel Trap Legends. They run a shakedown league on Wednesday night, which is exactly the same. So last Wednesday they were running here at Hockenheim. This coming Wednesday they're running 2 20-minute races around Donington Park, which will be next Monday's race to end off the series. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to see if I can grab DJM, if I click on the right screen here. I'll see if I can grab DJM and drag him into our chat. If I can find him. Where's he gone? Here we go. And it's good evening to DJM. Sorry, mate, we've just grabbed you mid-chat there, I believe.
Yep, all right.
Congratulations, mate. That was a fantastic win, but we do have to give you some advice. DDF had a pit stop error that cost him over 20 seconds.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, I screwed up my stop. I just slid on the brakes and missed my pit bay, but I think it only cost me about 5 seconds or something. And then I saw DDF go a lap longer than everyone else, and I figured that was it. He was going to be able to cruise it home, but then he sort of came out. He was like 30 seconds behind or something. So, yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but
I think
he would have won that. But, yeah.
Sounds very similar to the last time. It was a missed gear. I think he overshot and then couldn't find reverse.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah,
So,
I don't know if it's something to do with this track or not, but the pit lane seemed very slippery. I just completely locked up the brakes and slid straight past my stop. So
I think most people are struggling with the 140 km/h pit speed limit, which is not normal in a racing event these days.
yeah, that's a bit of a weird one because out of the last corner you only get up to 150 seconds before you got to do the pit lane. So I went over and then entered the pits at about 100 k's and was trying to speed back up to 150 and I thought, oh shit, better slam the brakes. Do the stop and I missed it. So the second time I just hit the pit limiter out of the last corner and just cruised on limiter for a couple of seconds.
So was that a decision for a two-stopper all the way through? Was that a conscious fuel burn concern or was it tyre wear?
Yeah, no, that was a definite two-stop. So I took 90 litres at the first one and 75 at the other two. So I could have done 5 less at the second one, which might have got me out ahead of DDF, but ended up working out okay.
Yeah, we thought DDF might have held on there for a while. It's a little bit unlucky that he got a bit wide. You were very matched for pace while you were sitting behind him. It was always going to be a bit of a struggle unless he made a slight error. It didn't look like he was going to give you much room.
Yeah, there was a couple, when I first caught up to him, he made a couple of little mistakes and I caught up close to him, and then I just sort of kept it a little bit cautious because I only had a few laps to go, or about 5 or 6 laps to go. So then just wait for try and get a good run on exit to get a run to the next corner, and that was the one that did it for the long run around the outside of the sweeper.
And the talking point from earlier, how did the brakes hand up after 65 minutes around Hockenheim Ring?
I didn't notice any issues with that. I had to adjust my brake bias a couple of times, just with that as the tyres wore. Trying to brake heavy into those chicanes, it was getting a little bit sketchy when they got more down, but otherwise it's okay.
It was never a great feeling coming into there when the back locked up and it started to step out sideways on you.
No, I went for the start of the race. I had put the brake bias forwards a bit more than normal, and then once I got comfortable, I moved it back, which seemed fine. And then the second stint, I had them the rear position, and the rears started to go first, which made it sketchy. So I ended up just moving it back forwards and left it there for the last stint. Just keep it safe.
Well, great.
But as always, Darren, you know, we love your driving, love your sportsmanship. You know, these are just some subtleties that mean you don't always get where you want to be.
Yeah, true. Got to try and, screwed up pits before and doesn't always work out. So just got to take it as it comes and try and be consistent.
Love the attitude, mate. Love having you with us. You make us all strive to be better.
Once
Yeah, I tried, sort of kept the start of the season, I kept my setup to myself for a while. And then I figured I'd start sharing it, see if it helps some guys, and it seems to have. So, like Cuckoo and a couple of other guys, kind of seem to be going well, or seem to like it. Although I think Brett was already showing some pretty good setups. So
yeah,
it's good having the time trials and the setup showing there that people can go off and try and improve with. So that's good, because not everyone can do setups and things. So it's good.
yeah. So Brett was unfortunate on lap 1. He did, or lap 1 or lap 2, where he made contact with someone coming through one of the chicanes. Dropped him right back. But again, Darrett, fantastic drive from yourself. Again, super consistent, great pace all race. And
That's cool.
Congratulations, mate. We'll leave it there. We'll put you back to the other group for them to congratulate you.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Look forward to watching the broadcast later.
Thank you, mate.
So there we go, Chris. That is round 5 at Hockenheim Ring. And we're now watching the feed for what is coming up next. There's a little bit of juicy information for you, the GT4s. I tell you what, I'm getting very, very excited about this. I'm seriously hoping that my knee holds out and I'm able to actually compete in Shakedown League on Wednesday nights. That would be absolutely fantastic for me.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I would love to see you there. And I really like this idea of bring out the P2 car on a circuit you like.
Yeah, so that's the P2 wild card. But we'll just quickly take a quick squizzy now. Oop, I didn't want to do that. Bring that back. Where'd that go? Oop. That didn't like that very much at all, did it? Now I've got a black screen. Hang on, we'll bring it back. Okay, so next round we are at Donington National in Great Britain. We'll have 2 races. So our first is a 20-minute race, followed with a 40-minute race afterwards. And that will be super exciting around Donington. Tight, windy track with a couple of little short straights in it. Should be great racing with these cars, the BMW M1. And again, guys...
Actually, it'll be crazy, mate. Just to interrupt. It'll be crazy. These cars are overpowered for that circuit in a way, but 2 rounds, maximum points. You get points for both.
And there's not much in it. DDF did manage to finish second, so that will keep them. It will keep him within the points. So there'll still only be 5 or 6 points between first and second. Brett will slip off, being I'm not too sure where he finished. I didn't quite catch his finishing position, but he'll slip a few points off the back of these two. So it will come down to the 2-sprint race next week, which will be super exciting. So next Monday night, we stream Monday nights from 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Times. Gravel Trap Legends, mate. Jump aboard, check it out, get onto Discord, join the group. Great mob of racers, great guys to chat with. And Chris, until next week, we're going to say goodbye.
Yep, signing out. And thank you, Tim, for another great broadcast.